is a course that you do need to take prior to biochemistry. Intro to biology is a prerequisite for genetics, right? So those are the ones that are all interconnected. Physics, calc, and stats can go wherever you need them to go. So to look at it laid out a little more, you're going to look at this order of operations. Gen Chem 1 and 2, look at my color coding, right? Gen Chem 1 and 2 come before Organic 1 and 2. Then genetics, half purple, comes before biochem, but biology, representing the green in genetics, comes before that. So this is the order that things go. So if you want to go a little more slowly, you can decide that you just want to take Gen Chem 1, and you'll pick up biology when you feel comfortable. Or maybe you just want to take biology and you'll pick up Gen Chem where you feel very comfortable. But understanding that the most important first step in this order of operations is Gen Chem, because it allows you to then move forward to take biology. So I quickly skipped over one slide over here. Intro to Sociology and Foundations of Psychology are part of the pre-health curriculum, because for particularly medical and dental school, you're expected to have taken them. So sociology and psychology are tested on the MCAT exam, which is the board exam you take prior to going into medical school. The courses, it's not any sociology course or any psychology course, right? So Intro to Sociology teaches you the material that is tested on the MCAT. Foundations of Psych teaches you the material that's tested on the MCAT. The good news is Intro to Sociology will count as a social science core. So if you're going to take a sociology course, make sure it's that one. And Foundations of Psychology, well, it's not a core course. We find a tremendous number of students, either major or minor, if they're pre-health in psychology. So Foundations is right where you want to begin. Okay, so the traditional route freshman year might look like Gen Chem 1 and 2, Bio 1 and 2 in Calc, followed by Orgo 1 and 2 in Physics in your sophomore year. Noting the order of these chemistry courses, junior year genetics and biochem, preparing you to take the MCAT or the DAT and apply to those schools after your junior year. Now, this is your traditional route, just like you began looking at colleges after your junior year in high school and spent your senior year going through the application process. So that's for anyone who wants to be traditional. The majority of students begin as traditional students and end up peeling off one way or the other and slowing down, because there's a lot more that goes into this, right? There are research opportunities, study abroad opportunities, the opportunity to double major in something, the opportunity to get a master's degree in teaching, in divinity, in public health, and anything you might want to do before you go into the health professions. Schools are not looking for you to race through as quickly as they can. They're looking for you to become as fleshed out, a mature, educated, experienced human as you can be before you go into the application process. And that makes you a stronger applicant, not simply the numbers, right? So while this is the traditional route, probably only about 50 or 60% of any applicant year are people on the traditional route. Everybody else is doing things in a different order. Last year, and in 2019-2020 application year, I had a student from the class of 2011 who applied and was accepted to 4 different medical schools in the Chicago area. He went off, he lived a whole life, did a whole bunch of different things, got some great experiences, and only last year decided that he was ready to apply for med school. Year before, I had someone from the class of 2012. So people do this in a number of different orders. So you shouldn't feel pressure because that's what they want you to do, quote unquote. Okay, so here we go. So this is a more measured route. This is not your only option if you want to do things differently. There's a number of different ways you can do things, right? But you can begin with foundations and then Bio 1 your first year, right? And then Gen Chem 1 and 2 along with that. First semester of your sophomore year, if you start with the foundations review course, you take Bio 2, followed by genetics, right? And then Orgo 1 and 2. Your sophomore year. So at the end of that sophomore year, you're in the exact same place as you would have been if you started with straight up Bio 1 and 2 and Chem 1 and 2 your freshman year. You then just switched around a little bit, the Orgo and the Physics. So you're taking Biochem and Physics your junior year, still prepared to apply after your junior year, right? So taking the time to learn the biology and doing things in the right order can still put you on the traditional route. Now you could flip this around and decide all I'm going to do freshman year is Chem 1 and 2, right? And when I'm doing Orgo 1 and 2, maybe that's when I'll take biology. Or maybe I'll put the whole thing off and not start until sophomore year because I don't understand what's going on. You know, I'm making this transition during this chaotic international pandemic that we have going on, and I'm not quite sure how I want to do this or what I want to do. So I'm going to take core courses for 2 full semesters. And then I'm going to start my pre-health academics in my sophomore year. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you do this all the way through, it takes on average 2.5 years. You have plenty of time to get it done. Right? So as I said, it's much more than academics. You work in the academics on the schedule that works for you, but then we're looking at you to illustrate service orientation, teamwork, leadership, the experiences that you're bringing to the table that are as important as the academics. You could come out of undergrad with a 4.0 and you have no experience other than studying 24/7. You will not be an attractive candidate to top med schools. Schools are looking for you to learn about life during these years. Go out, be of service in the Bronx community, talk to people, learn things, go places, do research, major in something unique that you're interested in, minor in something that fascinates you. All of these are equally as important, right? Schools are looking for kind of that second to last bullet point balance. They want to make sure that you have done a lot and mixed a lot in with your life other than simply the academics, because in medical school, that's what's going to be required of you, right? And finally, a realistic self-appraisal. If you are struggling after your first 2 chemistry exams, don't power through and take the F and just see what's going to happen after that, right? Use the resources you have. This gets to the idea of being academically mature. Phrases we've listed here: I don't like to ask for help, I like to work alone, I like to figure things out on my own. That is a recipe for a lack of success. You are in an institution that values collaboration. You're going into a profession that values collaboration. No one does things on their own, particularly if they're unsure. So you reach out and you use the resources there for the help that you need if you're struggling with anything academically. It's also important to note that pre-health is only preparing you to apply to these programs. You may be completely sure that what you want to do is be an orthopedic surgeon or a psychiatrist or a dermatologist. That has nothing to do with where you are right now. We are preparing you to apply to medical school, to apply to dental school, to apply to PA programs. Your idea of what you want to do for a specialty is not important right now. You want to focus on today, and your experiences, volunteering and doing research should be across the board. You should be learning new things here, not saying that at age 18, I know that I want to be an orthopedic surgeon at the hospital for special surgery. You should be saying at age 18, I think I know what I want to do. This is what interests me. This is what got me interested in medicine. But the one foundation I know is that medicine is what I want. So I'm just going to investigate a lot of things. Very few medical students are operating on broken femurs, right? You have 4 years of medical school in front of you, and that's what you're preparing for right now. So just don't get ahead of yourself. Okay, those are actually the basics that I wanted to talk about, and I want to open it up for chat for questions. Woo, a lot of them. Okay, let's see. It's all about the audio. Okay, sorry about the audio. I hope you can still hear well.
Just the first question all the way at the bottom is someone was registering for classes and they only saw statistics for a psych major and was wondering if that would satisfy the statistics requirement.
Okay, so the stats, that's a great question. The stats course of requirement will be met by stats in any department. So we have stats for psych. If you're not a psych major or minor, you wouldn't want to take that. But we do have an applied stats course that falls under the math department. So that is the one that was developed for pre-health students who didn't have a stats requirement for their major. If you're a Gabelli student, or if you're going to be a business administration minor, the business stats will work, the psych stats will work, the econ stats will work. So if it's a part of your major or minor, feel free to satisfy it that way. If it is not, go to the applied stats course. Oh, great question here about calculus. Okay, your SPAC should have talked to you about this. If you've got a 4 or 5 on your AP Calc exam, do you still have to take Calc? No, you do not. A score of 4 or 5 on either of the Calc exams will exempt you from the calculus requirement at Fordham. Now, if you are a chem major or an engineering physics major, where also environmental science, where Calc 2 is also a requirement. You want to talk to that department about what they want you to do in terms of Calc 2. If they want you going right into it, if they want to give you a tutorial, something like that. But the big picture, painting everyone with a broad brush, the 4 or 5 in AP Calc will give you credit for calculus. The 4 or 5 in AP Stats will give you credit for statistics. The 4 or 5 in AP Psych will give you credit for Psych unless you are a major. So all of these have different caveats. So you want to reach out to your SPAC and get the exact answer for different majors. But the Calc answer is no problem. You get credit for Calc. Okay, could you briefly reiterate how we could possibly not start all this until the second semester? Absolutely. A typical first semester would include Comp 2, either philosophy or theology, a history, a social science, and an English, something like that. All of the courses in the typical first semester for a non-STEM student or a non-pre-health student have to be taken by you anyway, right? So if you choose to take those 5 now, that's fine. Take them now, get your feet on the ground. In the second semester, you could take Bio 1 and Chem 1. In the first semester of your sophomore year, you can take Bio 2 and Chem 2, preparing you to move on to organic either in the spring semester or holding off on that, picking up on the on sequence in your junior year. Plenty of time to fit things in. Fordham also allows you to take coursework in the summer at a university outside of Fordham if it is approved, which it pretty easily is, and transfer that credit back. So there's a lot of different ways for you to do things and set things up across the board that are going to fit what you think you want to do. Question, how many credits do you recommend first year pre-health students take in the fall semester? Pre-health students take a tremendous amount more credits than the non-pre-health students because you have lab components in your courses. So for example, you're taking general chemistry, which is 4 credits with a 2-credit lab and a 0-credit recitation. So that is 3 different sections across the week that's adding up to 6 credits. That's only 1 course, right? So you're going to want to take only 4 courses in your freshman year, first semester, if you're taking bio and chem together. Fordham allows you to take 1 less course across your entire Fordham curriculum in order to give you a bit of breathing room the first semester with lectures and labs for the first time in your life. So if you're a pre-health student, you are required to take 35 courses before you graduate. If you are a non-pre-health student, if you're majoring in English and planning to go to law school, you have to take 36 courses to graduate. So we count courses here. You never have to give back that course. So you want to take bio, chem, 2 core courses, or bio, chem with pre-calc and 1 core course. Whatever credits that adds up to is not the same as the number of courses. Is it possible to take Orgo spring semester, freshman year, or over the summer? No, you must complete Gen Chem 2 before you can take Orgo. So you wouldn't have that done in spring semester of freshman year. General chemistry 1 and 2, 2-course sequence. It takes you 2 semesters to get it done. It is possible to take it over the summer because you would have had Chem 1 and Chem 2 behind you. Let's see, what else do you have? If you're on the pre-health track, do you need to take a language? Great question. BS students at Fordham do not need to take a language because of the lab requirements. It can be hard to fit it in, so you're, again, given that leeway that it's your choice. You don't have to do it. Psych students do have to take a language. Psych pre-health students do not have to take a language. So welcome to the Fordham way of thinking. There's always 3 different levels to the answer. But in general, if you're in a BS course of study, you do not have to take a language. So this might feed into what's the difference between a BS and a BA in biology, because you do have that choice. The difference is the number of electives. It is the same course requirements for biology. The BS student has 3 electives. The BA, Bachelor of Arts students, have 1 elective. But then that puts in the language requirement, so it tends to balance out. If you are a BS student and want to take a language, that's no problem whatsoever. We encourage you to do what you want to do, but it is not part of your core curriculum. Let's see.
Someone had also asked if there was a study abroad program or study abroad opportunities for someone who was pre-health.
Yeah, right. So never believe anyone either locally or nationally who tells you a pre-health student can't study abroad. You absolutely can if you plan ahead, right? Usually you would do that in the second semester of your junior year, and you would try and plan your coursework so you have no science courses you're taking that semester. You would work with your major advisor and you'd work with the study abroad office to figure out a way where you're only taking core requirements, and that way you're going to a Fordham approved program and can get those courses transferred back. A way to do that might be taking Physics 1 in the fall semester of your junior year, going and studying abroad in the spring, and then maybe coming back and taking Physics 2 in the summer, either at Fordham or elsewhere. So it's a creative way to look at doing things, but plenty of students do it, right? Just it requires knowing you want to do it and planning ahead. A big question here that I see that's important: go to Fordham as a bio major, but after the first semester decide to become a chem major. Do the requirements for courses change in a drastic way? Drastic way? No, right? Not at all. At any point during your first 4 semesters at Fordham, you can major in whatever you want to major in or be undeclared pre-health. While the bio and the chem majors have similar coursework, it doesn't start out at the same place, but you could certainly make an adjustment and become a chem major if you wanted to, and they would welcome you. Each department is thrilled if someone wants to be a major, so they will always work with you and help you figure out a way to make it happen. If you're considering chem, the biggest piece of advice I can give you is put yourself on a calculus track that will have you finishing Calc 2 in the spring, right? Because that's important to the major. It's not a deal breaker, but it would make your life easier, right? And reach out. For instance, Dr. Beer, who's the Associate Dean of STEM Education, he would be more than happy to talk to whoever asked the question about what you could do kind of between bio and chem to make it work. Would not be that difficult. Let's see, what else do we have here, Luke? What do the chemistry recitations entail? You want to take that one, Luke?
Yeah, so your chem recitation is, since your chemistry lecture class is going to be like a large lecture of usually about 90 to 100 students, your recitation is a smaller section of that lecture in which you have the professor, either like a TA or your professor that teaches the lecture, and you'll go over what you learn in that lecture course. And usually you'll have like a quiz that amounts to about 5% of your final semester grade in the chem class. But it's super helpful if you find yourself feeling lost during that lecture to go to that recitation, ask your questions, because it's usually only about 20 students where you can get that like face-to-face small review of what you're learning in lecture.
A question here: basically being on the pre-health track means you need to finish bio, physics, and chem courses. Yeah, being pre-health means I'll say it is pre-med, just to make that hitting the majority of people here. You have to take general chemistry, biology, organic chemistry, physics, genetics and biochem, right? Stats, calculus, psychology, and sociology. Those are the requirements nationally for applying to medical school. So if you're pre-health and you want to become a physical therapist, you don't need organic chemistry. If you're pre-health and you want to become a physician's assistant, you need more than the courses I just mentioned, actually. And it would probably be a good idea to be a bio major, because you need anatomy and physiology, as well as cell and molecular biology to apply to those programs. If you are pre-health and you want to go and get a second bachelor's degree in nursing, you, again, don't need both organic chemistries. You only need one. So there's different specifics deep in the weeds, but the important thing to remember is it all begins with general chemistry and biology. So there's no decision you could make right now that would negatively impact your future if you changed your mind. Quick question: if you're a bio major, how many semesters of calc do you need? Just one. Bio majors can take either Calculus 1 or Applied Calculus. There's a great section on the website if you just Google Fordham Majors and Minors, which will give you every requirement and a link to each department's webpage. If you have any questions about any of the majors, you can reach out to the associate chairs of any department, who can always work with an undergrad to kind of help you figure out what you might want to do.
We also have a question: do you need to take an Eloquentia Perfecta course freshman year if you're taking both chem and bio labs?
Well, there's 4 Eloquentia Perfecta course requirements, ideally one for each year. If you can't find one in the first semester, that's fine. Look for one in the second semester. And a little secret: if you can't find one in the second semester, Dean Parmack will help you get in an EP1 in your sophomore year. These are core courses you're taking. EP indicates that the course population is limited to 19 people, so you have plenty of time for interaction and talking and critiquing and things like that. So if you took an EP1 in your second year, that would be fine, right? Ideally, you take them 1, 2, 3, 4, but sometimes it just doesn't work out with scheduling, but it's not problematic.
And that's about all the time we have for the session. Really quickly, someone asked, are EP courses required? Yes, you need one every year while you're at Fordham. That's why they're scored.
But there's 2 of them, Luke, that are just built in, right? The Seniors Value Seminar and every text and context course that is offered in sophomore year is an EP course. So they're not difficult to track down.
Exactly. But yes, that's all the time. Thank you so much to Dean Watts for coming out and giving everyone insights about the pre-health track. We will now invite all the students to attend the What to Expect during your first year of college, led by myself and the other orientation coordinators, and invite your family members and parents to join the What to Expect during your students' first year of college, led by Dean of Students, Dean Rogers. Thank you, and you guys can start to head out.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone. Sorry the audio was mixed up at first. Any questions, feel free to reach out. Bye, Luke.
Bye.